Hey y'all, and welcome to Monner's Market, and welcome to my first mega video. I am super excited about this, and I forgot to record my intro before I left the house. So I am recording from sunny Disney World. Yes, I am in Disney World for the next few days, and this is how you get me this time. It's the first mega video I've ever done, so I'm sure it's not like the other professionals do, but it is over 109, I think, minutes long. So if you can't watch the whole thing at one time, I understand, but please do come back and finish watching. Sorry. Please do come back and finish watching it, because it's a lot of my favorite things, and it's all wood, or mostly wood projects. So thank you for coming, and I'm gonna hush up my big old mouth and let you get into the video, and I will see you in a little bit. For DIY number one, I'm going to make this gorgeous 3-tier tray, and you will not believe how inexpensive it is. This top layer came from the Dollar Tree for $1.25. You can get them all day long, and look at the knots on the wood. If I were just going to be staining this, it would be beautiful, but I think it's going to turn out beautiful anyway. Now this one is from Hobby Lobby. It's $2.99, but I got it half off, so I paid $1.50. This one, Hobby Lobby, $3.99. I paid it $2. So these also came from Woodpecker Crafts recently, and look how much they cost. I was blown away whenever I found them, and I knew they would be perfect for something like this. Actually, I bought them specifically for this particular DIY. And then on the bottom, I'm going to use my handy dandy little knobs that I bought a while back that I've been using on a ton of things, if I can keep on hold to them. And I'm going to use 4 of those for the bottom for the feet. So the first thing I did was sanded down my wood, because this wood is pretty rough whenever you get it from Hobby Lobby or Dollar Tree. So you really need to take a sanding block or whatever kind of sander you use and just kind of smooth it off. So as far as the wood goes for this piece, I've got about $11 in the whole entire piece. And when you see it at the end, you are going to be blown away. As you can see, I'm taking my antique wax and I'm painting my wood, but I am not wiping it off because I want that dark wood underneath. And I am going to paint every single piece of this wood with the antique wax to give it that super dark wood. Now, even though I'm not removing this, you know, how you normally put the antique wax on and remove it, and it brings out that real pretty wood grain. Even though I'm not removing the antique wax, you can still see the wood grain through it, as dark as it is. Now, you're not going to be able to see it once I finish it, but as far as this goes, I'm just trying, my point is, you don't have to always wipe it back off. But when you do, it just brings out the most gorgeous wood. And a lot of times you can't even see how pretty that wood is until you add the antique wax and then wipe it back off. Like, I've been surprised at different times when I would wipe some antique wax off and go, wow, I never knew that wood was that pretty under there, because you can't really see it with the naked eye. So these are my little candlesticks that I got from Woodpecker Crafts. Aren't they beautiful? I think they are just gorgeous, and for $2.05, you can't beat them. And these little handy dandy knobs have come in so handy for me. I've used them in so many videos. So now I'm going to take my white Waverly chalk paint, and on the 3 rounds, I am going to give them a pretty good heavy distressed coat of the white Waverly chalk paint. And you will see why I'm going to do that in a minute. But I love the way that these turn out in the end. Now, if I weren't doing a Parisian inspired, get my tongue untied, video today, I would have left them just like they are when I finished with the painting, and they would be gorgeous just like that. But that's not what we're here for today. We are here for Meet Me in Paris,
And I'm so excited that it's my second annual video, and there were so many people who were wanting to join me. Look at that wood, y'all. Is that not gorgeous? Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add my feet to the bottom. When I use this wood glue, I've said it 1,000 times, and you stick it on, you can't hardly get it off. Well, when I was putting this thing together, my original thought was to make it only a 3-tier tray, right? Where it was just one piece that had 3 tiers, and you saw me glue that middle piece down. Well, then I changed my mind, and I was like, you know what? I can stack it as a 3-piece, but not actually glue it all together. So I tried to remove that candlestick, and it took me and my husband both pulling on each other and bending and twisting to get that off. Look at this. Now this, unfortunately, none of the transfers that I'm using today are still available unless you Google them and you can find someone else who is selling them. But I still wanted to use them because they're all Paris themed, and they are going to make my project absolutely stunning. And this one right here, excuse me, you can probably hear that my sinuses are a mess right now. But anyway, this one right here, watch how it turns out. Y'all, is that not freaking gorgeous? I love it. And when I seen it like that, I was like, you know what? I can't add those sticks and cover any of that up. Now this one too is unavailable through Chalk Couture, but you can Google these and find, like on eBay and other sites where people are selling them. So I will link the names to all 3 of them below, where hopefully you can find them if you like this and if you would like to try to recreate it. But now watch this. I love it. Is that not gorgeous? Like, how can you cover that up with anything? Now this big huge one here, when I tell you it's huge, it is huge. So what I'm doing here is just trying to figure out which part of this gorgeous transfer do I want to use, because there's so many options, and I decided to go with that cafe part right there. And I'm so glad I did. I want you to watch this. Y'all know I love me some Chalk Couture, and this right here is why. Look how simple and easy and quick this is. Look, I love it. I love the way that stripe runs through the Cafe de Paris. So then I decided to just go ahead and add my candlesticks to the bottoms of the 2 pieces that I had left and stack them. And then I could also take them apart if I wanted to. So let me show you how they turned out in the end when I was all done. And I am so excited. And I'm so glad that I decided against gluing them together. And I'll show you why in just a minute. But I wanted to show you how it looks as a 3-tiered piece. Is that not beautiful? But look how much I'm covering up by, like if I were to have glued them together like I tried to, or like I started to in the beginning. That is so beautiful. And I love that it's 3-tier, and I can still use it as a 3-tier. All I have to do is stack it like I've stacked it here. And I can just use it and make it, look like it was made that way. Or I can show you what it looks like separated. Look. Tell me that's not just the most beautiful thing that you've ever seen me do on my channel. I am so proud of the way this turned out. And it's thanks to the Chalk Couture. But, like I said, if we weren't doing a Paris-themed video, I would have left those transfers off, and it would have been just as pretty. Well, not quite just as pretty, but it would have been very pretty. But look at this, y'all. Tell me in the comments below, do you like it better as a 3-tier tray, or do you like it better separated? I think I like it better separated, because you can see how pretty each one of them turned out. But anyway, that is enough about these. Now, those little vases right there I did in a previous video, a couple of videos back. So let me introduce you to Lightwish. they were kind enough to send me some UV resins, and I am so in love with them. They come in the most beautiful, vibrant colors, and they mix so well with their UV resin. And whenever you make something, it just pops. Now, because of time constraints and being in the hospital and this surgery and that surgery, I wasn't able to really make a lot of things that I wanted to make for this video, but I will show you how to make a set of earrings and how easy it is to make the earrings. The only thing you're going to need that was not in this little kit are the actual earring pieces that that actually go into the ear, the little pieces that go into the ear. But look at this. This is a little mini light. How stinking cute is this light? It's adorable, and it works in seconds. It works in seconds, like 60 seconds, and you've got a pair of earrings. It's amazing. It comes with everything, like I said. Even your mixing stick is in there. Even your little container to mix your resin in. Even the mold. I mean, how crazy is that? This is like a one-stop shop. And you can get the little backs for the earrings on Amazon, which I will link in my description box, along with a link for everything that you see here today, and show you how stinking easy it is. Now, this blue was so beautiful that I wanted to try it. So this is really important when you're dealing with resin of any kind. Gloves. You need to be gloved when you are dealing with resin, because if it gets on your skin, it's just going to have to eventually wear off over quite a bit of time. And you don't want that on your skin, trust me. You could probably even have allergies against it, and your skin would be irritated. So definitely glove up. But look how little it took in that little thing right there. I put 2 drops. 2 drops. And look at how pretty that light blue is. I was like, wait, what? So I'm going to pour it in here. Now, I only did a little bit the first time because I wanted to see how well it would mix. And, oh my word, look at how beautiful that blue is. So once I knew I had it down pat, which seemed too easy, like literally you put a little bit of resin in the bottom of your mixing bowl, and then you just put a drop or 2 of the colorant in there, and bam, you have a beautiful earring. So I put enough in there to make a second earring. I'm going to pour it in there. Now I want you to see where the magic happens. Make sure that you get it around the little hole for the earring. That's really important. If you don't go up high enough in the mold, you're not going to be able to put an earring back on it. But look, you turn it on, you wait 60 seconds, and while it's doing that, you have plenty of time to clean up your stuff. Now, I actually... you couldn't see it, but when I turned it on, underneath, my foot hit the plug and jarred it. That's why I had to turn it back on. So now that the 60 seconds was up right there. I had time to clean all of my stuff with a baby wipe, get it all ready for the second use, and watch what happens when I pull this out from under there. It is done, ready to go. You don't even need gloves anymore because it's done. It's dry, and it's ready to put a back on it. So I grabbed my little backs. Now, I did put it back in there because I've never used this lamp before, and I thought, I wonder if the middle is actually set, like hardened. That was very unnecessary, because when I made a second set of earrings, one time was all it took, 60 seconds, and these were done. So if you're in a hurry and you don't have a pair of earrings that match what you're doing, it is that simple to make you some. So grab you a kit today at the link below, and you can tear some Christmas presents up. Now let's get into the rest of the video. I love Lightwish. I could talk about them all day, but I'm going to hush now. To make this adorable little riser. Now, I know I've made a couple of risers recently, but they're all different. And it's just a way to give you ideas. But look at this truck, y'all. All I did was Googled pink roses, and this came up. So it was a free printable, and I was like, oh my gosh, what can I do? What can I do with it? And I chose this thing that I got from Hobby Lobby. It was $2.99. I got it for $1.50, and I thought I could put it on top of it. These legs right here came from Woodpecker Crafts. I am a affiliate of theirs, and that's something that they sent me. I'm going to paint all of the wood in the antique wax, and then I'm going to go back over the top of the legs, as you'll see in a few minutes, with the white. But back to the picture, I just Googled pink roses. That was one of them, and I printed it out, and you can put it in a frame. Like, in my opinion, it is beautiful, yeah, baby, beautiful enough to be framed. So if you have a really pretty frame that you like, stick it in a frame. Or you could put it on one of the hearts, you know, the wooden hearts that are out at the Dollar Tree right now. There are the plain wooden hearts, and then there's the wooden hearts that are like slats that have like a little bit of room in between them. Like, there's so many things that you can do with that picture, but I chose to put it on top of this riser because when it comes to Valentine's Day, I do a lot of baking, and I need something to present the things on top of. It's usually cupcakes or cookies or something like that, and this riser is absolutely perfect to put something like that on top of. So back to how I'm painting it. Like I said, I'm covering everything in the antique wax, wiping it down with a baby wipe. And then for the legs, I wanted to go back in with some white Waverly chalk paint and give it just like a distressed coat of the white chalk paint, just to give it a little more rustic farmhouse feel. And I think it gives it a little more character when you use two different colors. And especially with the wood, the white distressed look, to me, just looks gorgeous when you're dealing with farmhouse stuff. So what I'm doing now is I'm placing my picture on top of my wood, and I'm sort of rubbing around it, see how it gave me like the outline. Now I'm going to cut it out, but I'm not going to cut it out right dead on it, because if I were to cut it too small at any portion, then I'm going to mess myself up. So always make sure you cut it out just a little bit too big. Then I'm going to take my Mod Podge and I'm going to cover the whole top of my little tray. And I put way too much on it in the beginning, so I took a lot of it back off and just tried to get as even coat as possible. I rubbed it down, added some heat, because the heat takes out all of the bubbles, and there's several ways that you can heat it up. But my heat, excuse me, my throat is wanting to be crazy right now. My heat gun gets super duper hot, so it worked perfect. Then, as always, I take my little sponge and I go around and just sand it down, and it just, like I said before in the past, it just gives you the most beautiful, perfect edge. And once you get that done, you want to go back over the entire top with this Mod Podge, because it's going to do two things. Like I've said before, it's going to seal in your picture so that, you know, if you were to spill water on it or anything like that, nothing's going to happen. It's not going to start melting and take the color away or anything like that, because it's going to be protected. And then by going on down to the wood, it just gives everything the same finish, and it just looks more professional. It just gives it more of a store-bought look, if you will. So after I got that done, look at that. It's just gorgeous. Look, you can't tell me that's not beautiful. I love, love, love it. So now I'm going to put my little feet on, and you'll probably notice, like I did when I was doing this, I forgot to paint or stain one of the bottoms of the feet. I did go back in after, right there, that one right there. I did go back in and stain it, because even though nobody will probably ever see it but me, like, it drove me crazy. But look what it turned out like when it was done. Tell me down in the comments what you think about this picture of this little pink truck with these pink roses. I'm telling you, this picture right here is what set the theme for my entire video. Plus the fact that last week my DIYs were done with pink roses. And I think it kind of sort of all coordinates together, and I just love it. The paper that I used last week, I have had so many. First DIY, I'm going to show you this table that I bought at the Goodwill for $2.50. The price tag says $4.99, but you know I always get it for half off. And when I first did this, it was my first piece of furniture I've ever done. So I was unsure, didn't really know what to do.
but kept reading and researching and figured it out kind of quick. So the first thing I did was found this little hidden drawer back here. Now you will see just a little ways through the video where I forgot about that drawer when I was putting my sticker on the top and put it on to where now the drawer is in the back. And I'm so sad about that. But now it's a hidden drawer. So I'm cleaning it really good with some cleaner and getting all of the gook and grime and stuff off. And then once that is dry, I'm going to sand it down with this neat little tool that my husband got me for Christmas last year. Not this past Christmas, but the one before. I think I now own every Ryobi tool that's ever been created. And I love it. Love it. So I'm going in with white Waverly chalk paint. And I'm going to give this table 2 coats of the chalk paint. And I am going to just really, really cover it very well. I'm also going to do the little drawer, even though I forgot it, bless its heart. Now I'm keeping the tape on that because it was a little gold pull handle and I didn't want to paint it white. So once I got everything painted and it dried, I went in with a coat of wax. Now I did not show you that because it would have drawn this out for so long, but it's just a wax that you put over the top of chalk paint when you're doing furniture, and you paint it on just like you paint on. So there was really no sense in me showing you 2 different ways of painting, or painting the same table with 2 different materials. So this is me just kind of going through and touching it up. Now this right here is gorgeous. I think there were 6 if I remember right, because there's 3 there's 4. Okay, so there's 4 of those in there for like $20-something. I will link those below because they are so beautiful and they are rub-on stickers. How much easier does it get than a rub-on sticker? So what I did is I had the little tool that they sent me and I lined it up on my table, even though it was upside down, which still bums me out. And I just rubbed and rubbed and rubbed until I made sure that it was all stuck down to the table really good. There was a couple of little tiny pieces left, so I just put it on the drawer, thinking at the time that the drawer was going to be on the front. And then when I went to put the drawer back in, it was when I discovered, oh my gosh, I put the sticker on upside down. Well, there's no way of taking it off. Well, there was. I could have sanded it off, but I wanted to use that particular sticker. So once I finished that, I took that same little tool and I went all over my table and I roughed it up. I gave it like this old vintage, just scuffed up, used, worn, very loved table. And once I was done, I was so in love. Now I did go back on the top of this table and added another layer of the wax. So again, I didn't show that because I didn't want to drag it out. But that was just to seal that sticker in and seal, the paint and everything. So once I got everything like roughed and bumped up, I stood back and looked at it and was astonished that I actually redid a piece of furniture. And I have never been more proud. Oh, Mod Podge, that's what I used. I was thinking, okay, so for the whole table, I used the wax. And for the top, I used the satin Mod Podge. That's what it was. Because I just felt like it would seal that sticker in better than the wax I was using. I wasn't really familiar with wax when I did this, but I've learned a lot since then. But still, Mod Podge sealed it in just fine, and it gave it a nice... When I discovered, oh my gosh, I put the sticker on upside down. Well, there's no way of taking it off. Well, there was. I could have sanded it off, but I wanted to use that particular sticker. So once I finished that, I took that same little tool and I went all over my table and I roughed it up. I gave it like this old vintage, just scuffed up, used, worn, very loved table. And once I was done, I was so in love. Now I did go back on the top of this table and added another layer of the wax. So again, I didn't show that because I didn't want to drag it out, but that was just to seal that sticker in and seal, the paint and everything. So once I got everything like roughed and bumped up, I stood back and looked at it and was astonished that I actually redid a piece of furniture. And I have never been more proud. Oh, Mod Podge, that's what I used. I was thinking, so for the whole table, I used the wax. And for the top, I used the satin Mod Podge. That's what it was. Because I just felt like it would seal that sticker in better than the wax I was using. I wasn't really familiar with wax when I did this, but I've learned a lot since then. But still, Mod Podge sealed it in just fine, and it gave it a nice little sheen, and look how beautiful this table turned out. I am so in love with my first piece of furniture. Right now, I'm working on a big, old, antique, what are those things called? A roll top desk. And I am going to make it match this little table. I cannot wait to get it finished. I've already cleaned it down and things like that and got the first coat of paint on it. So let me know down there in the comments what you think about this. Isn't it perfect for Valentine's Day? It is going to be so beautiful with my things that I made to go on top of it, set to the side of our little table when I do our intimate little dinner for just me and my honey. We are soon going to be celebrating 30 years together, and if you've ever been to my channel before, you know that I cannot even talk to him without getting all sappy because he's just the absolute best. Now let's get into my second DIY that is going to... So I started off by going to Hobby Lobby and going down their wood aisle. Now I was excited to go to this Hobby Lobby because it was one that's kind of sort of in my area, but not really. It's about an hour and a half away, and I had never been to this one before, and I know they basically all have the same things, but this one definitely had a larger variety of this particular section that I'm showing you right now. So I went through and I picked out 3 different things that I knew I wanted to work on for you today. This plaque right here, I absolutely fell in love with the shape of it. It was literally $3.99, and for the size, you couldn't beat it. Now that's my Macy girl. She came and stayed the week with us this week, and I was super excited because she stays so busy that she's not usually able to come. But this is a really cute board that I got. It's $7.99, but all of this was 40% off. So I got a really, really good deal on today's videos because everything else that I'm going to use, I already had at home in my stash. So this DIY number 1, I think is my favorite because of the shape of everything. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. These are some rub-on transfers that I got recently from Amazon. And it came with 4 different rub-on transfers. And that, you know what, I think I actually got these from Etsy. Either way, wherever I got them from, I will give you the link down in my description box in case you happen to like them. They're very, very farmhouse, very, very rustic, and I just love them, and they are huge. And as you'll see me do, I was able to cut them up and turn 2 different sheets into something that I could use, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 5 times on 5 different projects. So let me show you how I used this particular set of rub-on transfers to get these 3 things made today. This is me just kind of laying them out to show you the 2 together side by side that I'm going to work with today. So I'm going to take this piece right here, and I am going to sand down the edges that are a little rough. Again, I'm showing you all of those beautiful knots in that wood. $3.99 is the regular cost, and I just removed the little tag right there and sanded down those rough edges and went to painting in the antique wax paint. Now I'm going to use the antique wax on both the top base and the little legs, but you will see me go over a certain part of both pieces with a different color paint, and I'll explain all of that to you as I do it.
But for now, I'm just taking the antique wax and I'm going all over this really pretty piece of wood. Look at the shape of it. I think the shape is so pretty. It's called a plaque, obviously. There are 1,000 things you could do with this thing. You could make a sign and hang it on your wall. You could add some little pegs to it and make a little like coat rack or a key. It'd be kind of big, but you know, like a little key thing to hang on the wall. You could put your favorite picture of your family or whatever on there and then cover it in something that would protect it and hang it up. There's just so many things that you could do with this piece of wood for $3.99. I mean, it's super, super, super good deal. So let me show you what I'm going to do with this particular piece of wood. But I want you to notice how pretty this is before I go messing it up with this paint in a minute, and how pretty the wood is. Anyway, these are some finials that I got recently from Woodpecker Crafts. They were on sale that day for 95 cents. And when I found them for 95 cents, I bought a lot of them because these things are usually $3 to $7 a piece. So I'm going to go over all 4 of my legs with the antique wax, and I'm going to wipe it down. And then once I get this painted on, wiped back off, you're going to see me go in with some, I think I use ivory if I'm not mistaken. We'll see in just a minute what color paint. Yes, ivory. I'm going to take some ivory paint and I'm going to go all over the top of this. Now, why am I doing the top of this? Because when I go to add that picture on the top, I want a lighter background so that it doesn't fade away and get washed out with a dark background. And if you've ever used these rub-on transfers, they're kind of translucent, so you can see through the paint that's on the bottom. And I did not want nor need a dark background, so I just took that ivory paint and I went all over the top and gave it a really good base coat to bring out the rub-on transfer that I'm going to place on there in just a few minutes. I hope that makes sense as to why I did that. Anyway, now I'm just going to take my brush that already has that ivory paint on there, and I'm going to give these legs a really rough, distressed coat of the ivory paint, really not caring how bad they look or how ugly they are, because when you're doing rustic farmhouse, the more beat up and old looking they are, the better. Like, that's what makes it rustic. So I'm going to distress coat these legs, and now I'm going to move on to my little transfer here. Now, the pieces that I'm cutting off the top and the bottom, I am not going to throw away, because there are so many things that I can do with those and so many other things that I can use them on. Now, if you'll notice, this transfer doesn't cover the whole thing, and you see all that other stuff peeking through. That's fine. We're going to blend it all together with some different paints, and you're never going to know that it wasn't, like, it didn't cover the whole top, basically. Now, I wish I would have paid better attention when I was cutting this, because I ended up getting that stuff on my hands, and I'm telling you, because it's rub-on transfer, whatever it touches, it sticks to. So I had to end up going and washing my hands and getting all of it off of my hands, but it stuck really well. And as you see, it went on so smooth and so doggone easy that it wasn't, like, it was so effortless. Now, this is a color Sandstone by Waverly, and it was about as close as I could get to the base of this picture, but it was still a little too light. So what I ended up doing is taking some of that Sandstone and mixing it with some of the antique wax and some of the ivory until I just kept blending and blending and blending and blending until it just was pleasing to the eye, and I thought it looked like it all come together, and it sort of masked and hid the spots that didn't get any coverage from the actual rub-on transfer. And I would love to hear what you think down in the comment section below about how well or how not so well I covered those edges whenever you get to see it when it's finished. But I thought it turned out pretty cute, and because we're doing that rustic farmhouse theme, and that rustic farmhouse feel, you know, it doesn't need to be perfect. I don't want it to be perfect, because the more imperfect it is, the more rustic it is. So anyway, now I'm just going to glue with some wood hot glue sticks, glue my legs down, because if you use that wood glue, I'm telling you, you will get such a better hold, and it will last a long, long time. Now, once I put the wood glue on there, I do press it down for a few seconds really hard, and then I'm done with this, and I want you to, oh no, you know what? Let me go back. I'm about to miss a step. I'm going to go over it with a matte Mod Podge with a really thick, heavy coat of that Mod Podge to seal that rub on transfer in, and give it just a really nice matte finish. Now look at how beautiful this thing turned out, y'all. I love the way this looks. It's so rustic, so farmhouse, and the way I did the legs, in my opinion, makes it so super shabby chic, and it's just me. I just love it. Let me know in the comments how you think I did on the blending. Now, honestly, be honest, because you're not going to hurt my feelings. Now, let's get into DIY number 2. I am as equally in love with this one as I am with the first one. Actually, all 3 of these I'm obsessed with. They turned out so good. Now, this one was regular $7.99. It was 40% off. So that's what, $8.16, $3.20 off of $8. So you do the math there, because numbers always mess me up. But anyway, I am removing the sticker, and I'm going to sand down any rough spots that may be on the edge. I'm going to go in with the antique wax. I am going to paint it on, and then I'm going to wipe it back off. And usually when I do a video, very seldom do I not do what I'm doing right now, and that is make sort of a theme for my vignette at the end. I want all of my stuff in my videos to match and all coordinate together for a couple reasons. It just makes a better video, in my opinion, and it goes in my house better. So, I mean, why would I go using some funky colors that aren't in my house? Sometimes I will do that. Sometimes I'll go outside my comfort zone and use some far out something, and then I'll end up giving it away. But for now, today, these things are staying in my house, and I am so in love with them. Now, again, I'm going to use the sandstone. I'm going to mix it with some antique wax and some ivory. Pardon my hair. I tried my best not to get my big old fat head in there, but I saw a couple of times where it did get in the way. Now, this time I made it a little darker than I did the first time, so hopefully I didn't have as much blending to do whenever it come time to put that rub-on transfer down. But so I thought. So anyway, you'll see me go in, put the rub-on transfer down, and then still just keep like playing with it until I liked what I saw. But this time I got a little too dark. But that's the thing. Don't give up. Don't be frustrated if your paint job isn't good. You can always sand it off and start over, or you can simply give it another coat of paint and cover up what you feel you messed up. So in the beginning, when I first started my channel, I would get so daggum aggravated because I would mess something up, and I would just get all hyped out and, you know, be frustrated. And then I finally learned, oh my goodness, that can be covered up. It can be redone. Chill out, Brenda. Calm down. There's that hair again. Y'all, I'm so sorry about that. But anyway, don't panic if you make a mistake. You can always go back and fix it. If you're dealing with paint, paint can be covered up. So definitely hang in there and just keep doing it until you like what you see, which is what I'm doing here. I just keep putting it on, taking it off, putting it on, taking it off, blending it in, adding more to it with the different colors until I got it to where I kind of liked it. Now, these are some candle cups that come from Woodpecker Crafts, and they are not sponsoring today's video. I am just so in love with Woodpecker Crafts and all of the beautiful, wonderful things that you can get from there. Their link will be in my description box, along with these pieces that I'm using for my legs today. And I love them. I love the company, period. I have done some sponsored videos with them before. This one's not, like I said, but I do truly love that company. So anyway, I'm going to do the same thing here that I did on the other legs. Put them or cover them with the antique wax, wipe it off, and then go super heavy distressed coat of the ivory on the legs and finish them off. And then once I put my legs on, well, like I said a minute ago, I put the wood glue on and then I hold it down. You can't tell here, but I do hold it down for several seconds. And even though this is sped up, you can't really tell. But once I got them on there, I was like, man, I'm just not happy with this blending of the top of this. So I went back in with the brushes that were already wet, and I just kept playing with it until I was finally like, okay, that's it. That's good. Leave it alone, Brenda. It's fine. Don't mess with it anymore. Do you ever do that? Like, do you get to crafting and you just keep going over and over something when you just look back at your videos and you're like, oh man, I should have stopped right there? Well, that's kind of where I was at here. But I do like the way this turned out in the end. And I'm going to show you after I put some Mod Podge on the top what it looks like. And that's simply what I'm doing here, is just adding that real generous coat of Mod Podge to seal in my rub-on transfer and give it a really nice finish. And then this is what this piece turned out like. And I am so stinking in love with this, y'all. Look. I cannot wait to hear what you think about these pieces. And you see how it's just like so old and rustic looking and farmhousey, and that's me. That's what I love. That's what makes my heart go pitter patter, and I love decorating with it, and I definitely love making it for you guys. So if you are sick of seeing this, then it's probably not the right channel to be on. Anyway, let's get into DIY number 3. This one was so stinking easy, y'all. This is just a little round piece of wood that was $2, or what was it, $3.49. And as I said earlier, all of this stuff was 40%. Actually, I don't think all of it was. I think it had to be over $4 to be 40% off, but still, you can't beat $3.49 or $2.99. So I didn't pay very much. I know it was like $11 or $12 for all 3 of these pieces when I went to Hobby Lobby the other day. So not bad at all. And covered this with the antique wax. Now this one I did not give a coat, or did I? Let's see if I did. No, okay. I didn't give it a coat because you'll see that the rub-on transfer that I'm using on this one was already dark. So it's not going to interfere with my placement in my rub-on transfer. What I'm doing now is taking this candlestick from the Dollar Tree and I'm painting it with the ivory to bring all of these colors together. And I'm just giving it, I think, like 2 good coats of the ivory chalk paint just to make it really cute and pretty. And I'm going to use the bottom for the top here. Now this is the one that I was going to use for the little round, and that was me just kind of measuring it out to see what I needed. Now I said it had a dark background, and the background technically isn't dark, but most of the picture is dark. So I was able to slide by without having to paint the top of that wood a lighter color. So anyway, this is me just doing the same thing you saw me do on the other 2, rubbing it on and sanding it all down. Gosh, there's my head again. I didn't realize my head was that bad. Now I'm going to take some Mod Podge. Again, really heavy, healthy coat. Not too heavy because you don't want it to be like runny or thick in any spots. You want it super smooth and even. And once it dries really clear, and it has this beautiful matte finish. This particular one does anyway. You can get it in several different finishes, whatever you like. And now I'm just going to take the candlestick that I painted and glue it to it. And this is literally all there was to making this 3rd and final DIY. This was the quickest and easiest one there was. That was just me. I didn't have my measuring tape, so I just used that paintbrush to sort of go, like use a guide to see if I had it straight on there. And I had it good enough. But look at how cute this little pedestal stand turned out. I love the cow. I love the pictures. I love the ease of these rub-on transfers. Look at how rustic and beautiful. Oh my gosh, like I said, I'm just obsessed with these. And then look how cute that little candlestick turned out on the bottom. For $1.25, you can't beat it. And I have a ton of those outside in my crafting room because when I find them, I buy all I see. So now let me show you my final reveal. This is what they all look like together without anything on top of them. And I love the way they turned out. And then I'm going to show you what they look like, kind of, just staged for you with a few little things on top of them. And I'm just going to show you how they turned out in the end. But let me know down in the comments, how do you feel about today's video? Are you glad that I kind of went back to what I love doing the most? Maybe you can hear it in my voice. Maybe you can see it in my projects today. But this is my happy place. This is what I love doing. And when I finished it, it was so much better in person than I had it pictured in my head. And I was just super excited to bring it to you in today's video. And again, today's video is not sponsored by anybody. Now listen, I don't mind getting free things. And when these companies sponsor you, you get free things. And I don't mind that. But sometimes they will send you things that you're not really going to use a whole lot. But this video today is all me. It's what I like doing. It's what I love. I love the way they all turn wood products. And we are going to jump right into DIY number 1. Let me tell you about this little tray. Look how beautiful the scallops are on this tray and the shiplap bottom. Guess what I found? I found a Dollar Tree Plus. If you know me and you watch my videos, you know I have been looking for a Dollar Tree Plus since they came out and were a thing. I finally found one up in Metropolis, Illinois, when me and my husband were on vacation a couple of weeks ago. And I was so excited. Stay tuned till the end of the video to see footage of me in that store. Now, those little egg cups that you just saw came from Woodpecker Crafts, but look at this Weather Wash wood stain in the color Barnwood. Weather Wash was sweet enough to send me this quart of gorgeous stain, along with a quart of this amazing satin polyurethane. And guys, this satin polyurethane is the best polyurethane I've ever used, and I kid you not. So I'm going to take my Barnwood stain and I'm going to stain everything. I'm going to stain the egg cups, which I'm going to turn into feet, and the gorgeous tray that I got from the Dollar Tree Plus. And I am going to glue those feet on the bottom. Once I glue the feet on the bottom, I'm going to go in with some white Waverly chalk paint and I'm going to distress the top and the sides to my tray. Now, I am getting ahead of myself because I want to go back and I want to talk about two different things. I want to talk about this beautiful stain, y'all. Watch this wood just absolutely come to life. Now, you guys know how much I love my antique wax, right? Well, and I still love it, but look at this. Look how beautiful the wood is, and look how pretty this Barnwood Weather Wash is bringing this wood grain out, and I don't have to go through the trouble and the hassle of wiping it back off. And it gives it the most beautiful, rich, brown, farmhousey color. And I love the name Barnwood because it reminds me of farmhouse, barnwood, farmhouse, you know what I'm saying? So they really named this color perfectly, because look at the gorgeousness that it gives to this wood. I love it, and I'm so grateful that they sent this to me to try out and show y'all. Look at that. Look at that wood grain, y'all. Is it not beautiful? I'll have a link to both the stain and the polyurethane down in my description box so you can get you some. They have a ton of different colors. And look at how pretty those little feet turned out. They have a ton of different colors to match anything you want to make. And my absolute favorite thing that I've ever used before was Minwax polyurethane, right? This is where I'm taking the white Waverly chalk paint and I'm going to sort of heavily distress the top and the sides. But again, like I said, I'm going to glue on my feet first. But when I've discovered this weather wash polyurethane, now I like Minwax. I'm not putting Minwax down. I'm not dissing them. But listen, this weather wash polyurethane is hands down 10 times better than any other polyurethane that I've ever used. Most polyurethane, if it's thick, will dry with a white haze to it. This did not do that. It did not do that. And it's probably because it goes on so stinking smooth, y'all. It goes on so smooth. It's not thick and cloppy. And you use a synthetic brush to put it on with. And it's just so smooth and so silky. And that satin sheen that it gives your wood when you're done. Oh my gosh. I am so in love with these products. When they sent it to me, I was a little skeptical because I had never heard of it before, but I am a huge fan. Now, this rub-on transfer came from my beautiful friend, Michelle. She is one of my moderators, and I love her to death. She sent me a ton of rub-on transfers because she knows I've been looking for some. And this one was just a little extra one that she threw in there. And look at how beautiful it made my tray. I love it. I never would have thought that I would have liked that on anything, but my heavens, look at how gorgeous it made that tray. It says family affirmations, and it has just little family affirmations there. But now is where I'm going to go in with this polyurethane, and I want you to watch how smooth and how easy this polyurethane spreads. And like I said, it's not thick, it's not gloppy or whatever. I don't even know if gloppy is a word, but it didn't like pull up in the corners or anything. It was just super smooth, and the sheen, the satin sheen that it gave my project when it was dry was absolutely stunning. I don't know if the camera's going to actually capture that, like the finish that it gave. I really need to get better lighting so you can see these things. But honey, it is gorgeous. And I want you to look in the end. Well, okay, now look at the bottom. You can see that. See that? You see that sheen it gives it? Isn't that beautiful? And when it dries, it is just as pretty as it is when it's wet. And now your wood is protected. Now my wood is protected for a long time, and I love it. And this piece is now what I would consider a professional piece that I would be happy to sell on Etsy or anywhere else and not be embarrassed about using junk products on it. But look at how gorgeous it turned out. Michelle, girl, look at that rub-on transfer. Is that not beautiful? I love it. Let me know down in the comments what y'all think about my DIY number one, my Dollar Tree Plus tray. I'm still excited and pumped about that Dollar Tree Plus. Stay tuned. Like I said, at the end of the video, you'll see some footage from when I found the Dollar Tree Plus up in Metropolis, Illinois. And look at that. You see them corners? They are just as smooth and beautiful as the rest of the tray from that polyurethane. Look at that. Look at, does that not look like a professional finish that you would find in Hobby Lobby or somewhere? I love it. Now this, honey, this is my favorite of the whole video. I found this plaque at Hobby Lobby,
It was regular $10.99. Look at the knots on that wood, y'all. That is a beautiful piece of wood, but I am so daggum mad at myself because I wanted to stain the top of this, which I will, and the legs, and then I was going to go in and just whitewash, or whatever you call it, distress the bottom of the legs with white Waverly chalk paint. Well, I got sidetracked in my goofball head and ended up putting the white Waverly chalk paint on the top of this. And I was so mad at myself because that is a beautiful piece of wood. And wait until you see this weather wash barnwood stain on top of this wood. You will fall in love with this stain when it dries. It is so stinking beautiful. And I can always get another piece of wood or another plaque, as it was called. It was called a plaque. I can always get another one. This thing was 18 inches long, y'all. It was 18 inches long by 6 inches wide, or 6 inches wide by whatever. Anyway, y'all know I don't know about that kind of stuff, but it was 18 inches one way and 6 inches the other, however you say it. I know I'm professional, right? Anyway, it was a monster. Those little finials there I got from the Hobby Lobby. They were $3.49 a piece. So there's $14 in those little legs. But you know me, I'm going to get everything when it's half off at the Hobby Lobby. So I've only got $7 in the legs. So I've got $12 total in the wood. And then the handles at my Hobby Lobby, no, my Home Depot were in the clearance pile for 59 cents. So I've got about $13 in this whole thing. And I looked up one on Etsy. Guess what they wanted for it, y'all? And it didn't even have handles. They wanted $85 for that thing. And mine was just as pretty as theirs, in my opinion. But even though I forgot and had a brain fart and painted the top of that wood, I love the way that barnwood peeks through the white Waverly chalk paint and just makes that so pretty. Like, that is such a pretty piece, and I love it. Let me know down in the comments below what you think about this plaque, as they called it, that I have turned into a tray. What do you call that? I know probably a riser is what I would call that, or a tray, or a riser tray maybe. I don't know. What is the proper term for that? But in my opinion, it's very, very farmhouse, very shabby chic, very French country, and very Brenda. Like, I love this whole farmhouse shabby chic feel. I just love it. And everything that I have done lately has that same sort of theme to it. So I guess that's what the kids call my vibe. Yeah, that's my vibe. My granddaughter said, Grandma, that's your vibe. Or Monner. She said, Monner, that's your vibe. So whatever that means. But anyway, I love it. Now I'm going to take my wood glue, hot stick wood glue, or wood glue hot stick, whatever you call it. And I'm just going to glue on these handles instead of screwing them down. Now, if I was going to be selling this, I would screw them down. But I wanted to just glue them on with a little bit of glue so that later down the road, if I wanted to, I could take them off. But isn't that just beautiful? I love, love, love the way this turned out. To me, it is just absolutely gorgeous. Look at that, y'all. And like I said, it's about 18 inches long, so it's a pretty significant size. And I think it's probably one of my top 3 favorite things I've ever made. I do. I just adore it. Let me know down in the comments below what you think about that. Are you in love with it as much as I am, or am I like crazy? Anyway, DIY number 3 are these gorgeous balls or orbs or whatever you want to call them from the Dollar Tree. This is in their new nautical line that just come out.
And when I seen these balls, I had to get me some because of the design and the texture on these balls. Now, I don't have anything in my house that's blue, and I knew that, you know, this wasn't going to match anything that I had, but I also knew that I could put my little spin and my little touch on it. So what I did is I went in, look at that, y'all. That's pretty. I got a blue pine cone and a white pine cone, and then I got one each of the other styles. But anyway, I took 2 coats of white Waverly chalk paint, and I gave them all 4 2 really good coats. This was probably one of the easiest DIYs I've ever done, but it's also one of the prettiest ones I've ever done, in my opinion. And once I gave it 2 coats of the chalk paint, I let it dry real good in between each coat, and then I let it dry really good after the second coat, and then I took my antique wax and I just sort of dry brushed all over all 4 of them. Now, I didn't do it too heavy, but I didn't do it too light either, because I just wanted to make sure that the designs on those balls showed up real good, and I love the way they turned out. I think they turned out just beautiful. And pine cone, but I love it. Now let me show you my final reveal. I love this whole entire video, y'all. I love all 3 of these projects, and I cannot wait to hear what you think about them. Now, I got a question for you. Are you tired of seeing me do the wood and the shabby chic farmhouse? Are you ready for me to do something different? Because I've been thinking, I don't want to be a one-trick pony video, or creator, whatever they call it, and have it to where everything's same old every week, just a different piece, same old color. Even though it matches my home and it matches my style and it matches what I love, I don't want you to get bored with me doing the same thing over and over and over. So this is my question. Is this boring to you to see this over and over again? Or does it spark your interest? Do you love it? And do you want me to continue doing what I love? And then you can tweak it in your own colors and in your own style. You know, even that little tray right there, you can add some rub-on transfers or anything else you want. The DIY number 1. I am so in love with this coat rack, y'all. Look at that. Wouldn't that be beautiful above anybody's, or, just like when you walk in, you go to flip your light on, and just above it you find this gorgeous coat rack for your guests to be able to hang their sweaters or whatever on. Anyway, I had this leftover piece of scrap wood, and I had all of these embellishments. So I just arranged the embellishments on my wood in a way that I thought it would be cute. And I took that piece, obviously, and glued it to the top, and then glued my little edges. Now, what I was doing there was trying to flip it around to see which side was prettier, because that's always the side that you want to make your focal point, and use the uglier or scratched up side to the back. Now, one of my subscribers said something that made a lot of sense. Quit complaining about the scratches and the dents. I love a rustic farmhouse look, right? Well, those dents and those scratches are what help make it rustic and help make it that, give it that farmhouse feel. So I took that to heart. So thank you for leaving me that comment, and I will definitely embrace that in the future. But anyway, I'm using my wood glue, raw wood to raw wood. I am going to get the best hold that way. And then I'm going to go in with my antique wax and cover the whole thing, front, back, and sides. Now, I got these embellishments from, where did I get them? Amazon. I will absolutely have them linked in the description box below in case you want some or something similar. They're always in my Amazon storefront too. If I am saying like, it's going to be listed, blah, 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 and I forget to list it, you can always find what I use in my Amazon storefront. I forget to mention that all the time, but my Amazon storefront is always in my description box, no matter what. So if I'm having a blonde moment and I forget to list something, then just go to my Amazon storefront and look through the different categories until you find what you're looking for. But I really do try to add it. Sometimes as soon as the video's over, I'm like, oh, let me run and go do my description box. I forgot. But, at least I get it on there eventually. Anyway, once I get this wood all covered in this antique wax, I am going in with my ivory chalk paint. And what I'm going to do is just that. I'm just going to rub it across the top. And believe it or not, I'm not rubbing hard. I'm barely kind of wiping over the wood. And look at how gorgeous that is and how beautiful. It just wakes it up and comes to life. And it's like a completely different board at this point. Now I'm going to use this welcome transfer from Chalk Couture. I don't remember right offhand if this is still available or not. But if it's not, I will try to find someone else who's selling it and link their link in the description box in case you're interested in making one of these yourself. But if we do still have it, I will have this link in my description box. Either way, hopefully I'll have a link for you to this welcome transfer. And I don't know if you noticed it or not, but it had several different welcome transfers on there. So now I'm just going to take my white paste and I am going to paste on the welcome. And then I'm going to pull my transfer off and reveal to you this gorgeous, gorgeous print. And I'm telling you, this is almost foolproof, y'all. Look at that. Look at that. Is that not just gorgeous? And how much easier can it get? Like not much, right? Now, these little hooks here I got off of Amazon. When I went on a hunt to Amazon looking for them, I put in ornamental coat hooks. And the reason I put in ornamental coat hooks was to try to find something that's going to match the ornamental design in my wood embellishments, right? Not exactly like it, but the fact that they're kind of all swirly, beautiful, just kind of brought it all together. Now, I did use my white Waverly chalk paint here instead of the ivory because as dark as it was, I thought the ivory wouldn't lighten it up as much as I needed it to. And it actually worked out perfect when I added the white to the black. It was the perfect distressing that I needed to make it all match. Now, you could not paint these and just leave them black, and that would be pretty. Then you would have a couple of 1, 2, 3 different shades going on there, and that would be pretty too. So you don't have to paint them if you don't want to. You don't even have to use these particular hooks, which will be linked in the description box. But these were very, very reasonable, and it came with a lot of hooks. So I'll be putting hooks on several things in the near future. But anyway, I also coated the whole entire thing, front, back, and sides, with polyurethane. And I put 2 sawtooth hangers on the back. I went in about 3 inches on both sides and added a sawtooth hanger. As long as it is, it definitely needed 2 of them so that it would even out, because it's pretty long. I would say it's maybe 2.5 foot wide. But anyway, once I got that done, it was finished, and I am obsessed with the way this turned out. Look at that, y'all. Is that not just absolutely gorgeous? I cannot wait to hear what you think about this down in the description box. Look at the ornamental pieces on that hook versus the ornamental pieces that are glued to my edges. I just love it. I think it's just perfect there. So let me know down in the comments below what you think about my welcome coat rack sign. It's all of the above. It's a welcome sign, it's a coat rack, it's everything. But I love it. Love, 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 love it. Okay, now for DIY number 2, we are going to make a Santa tray. I love, love, love this tray. I love everything about it. This is another piece of scrap wood. And when my husband is building me a new shop, like I've told y'all for a few months now, we are almost done. We're going to be putting the wiring in tomorrow. And then next weekend, we're going to put the final walls up. And then all we have to do is paint and move in. And I am super duper stoked about that. Stay tuned at the end, and I am going to give you a sneak peek of what it's looking like. I am so excited about it. Anyway, I'm taking my antique wax, and I am covering front, top, and sides, like I said. And I'm not going to bother to take this off because I'm going to be covering it up. And I want that darker wood, but you can still see the wood grain through that. Isn't that pretty? Now I'm going to take my white Waverly chalk paint, and I'm going to give it a very distressed, heavy coat of the white Waverly chalk paint. And the reason I'm putting the white on there is because the way I want to do the transfer, I needed a lighter background. And this white distressed paint gives it that rustic farmhouse feel that I'm always looking for. And I just love the way this turned out. But anyway, I did this sort of distressing to the top, the bottom, all 4 sides, and I'm going to show you how I sealed this in. It's going to be completely different than polyurethane, and I'll tell you why. Now, this is the transfer. This is absolutely still available now. It will be linked in my description box below. You could use any colors you want on this, or you can just use white. You could just use black. You can use green and red. You can use pink and brown. It doesn't matter. Use what makes it match your stuff, and you know what makes it you. Now, this is my black paste, and I am going to do Dear Santa. Thank you for, what does it say? Thank you for, oh my goodness. I'll have to read it whenever I take it off. You know, I've chalked this on there, but it's been a few days and I honestly don't remember. Anyway, at the bottom, it says something like a sweet treat for you on the left. And then in the middle bottom, it says, we can't forget the reindeer. And then on the right, it says something similar to, and and milk to wash it down. So it's just really cute. It's a cute tray to leave for Santa. Now, this is our gold shimmer paste. And I did all of my stars that are on there in the gold shimmer paste. I just thought it would be pretty to make the stars kind of sparkle on the board. So I did every single little star on there in the gold, and it just, I can't wait to pull it off and show you. It's so beautiful. Once I got that done, now I'm going, my first little ring, I'm going to do in my pesto. I'm going to cover it in my pesto, and then I'm going to do each 3 of the rings in a different color, right? So my next color is eucalyptus, and I love it. It's a green, but it's almost got like a tint of blue in it. And I just did this one in the eucalyptus, and then the bottom one I'm going to do in sage. And it is so pretty, and these colors worked so well together, and I just love the way it's going to turn out. I can't wait to pull that transfer back and show you what it looks like. Now, if you see those little swirly embellishments at the top, I'm going to use my shimmer melon on that. And that, look at that. That's a beautiful color. Again, it's really shimmery and almost looks like it's got glitter in it. But it's not a glitter that's going to fall off on everything. So once I did those little embellishments, this transfer was done. And let me show you what it looks like when we peel it back. Look at this. I'm so excited. Dear Santa, thank you for visiting our home. That's what it says. Look at those 3 colors together. Now, this is called Triple Thick Glaze by Rust-Oleum. I'm going to shake it really, really, really good and get it all mixed up. And then I am going to give it really light right there like that. I'm going one way, then going the other way. That is literally it. And then I did it on the sides and the back. And look at the sheen that it gives. Isn't that beautiful? Now, this is not completely dry at the time, but can you see the way the sun's bouncing off of it? I love it. Now, I'm going to take these handles. These are just some very inexpensive little handles that you can get from Home Depot. They are less than $2 a piece, and they're very rustic. They're very cute, and they are perfect for one of these little trays. And I am going to get them positioned. Of course, you want to make sure you're measuring it to make sure that they're in the middle of your board, so that when you pick your board up, it's going to be even and you're not going to risk spilling your milk. Because when you leave your milk for Santa, you want to make sure you get it to the spot it's going without spilling anything. So I'm just going to measure, making sure that my handles are in the middle, and I'm just going to screw them in there. And these go in so easy on this wood. Once I do that, I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to put some felt pads on the bottom. Now, my husband said I went way overkill by putting too many on there, but you can never have too many, in my opinion, because this is going to keep it from scratching up your counters or your tables or wherever you set it at. Now, these are already very, very sticky, and you don't have to use any glue, but I had my glue handy and it was already hot. So I just put a little bit of wood glue on the bottom of those pads, and I will never have to worry about them coming off of this tray. Once I'd done that, I was finished with this tray, and look how stinking cute that is. A tasty treat for you is what it says under the cookies. I'm so obsessed with this. We can't forget the reindeer. How cute is that? Gotta leave the reindeer some carrots and milk to wash it down. Is this not the cutest little thing? Now, if you want, you can also add your child's name somewhere on there, like maybe the bottom right. Love Joni, or love Lila, or love Sarah, or love Macy, or whatever your kid's name is, or your grandchild. You can make it personalized too. So definitely let me know what you think about my Santa tray down in the description box below. I am absolutely obsessed with this tray, and I really can't wait to hear what you think about it. Now, let's get into DIY number 3. I was not going to make another tray, but I had this big, and when I tell you it's big, piece of wood from, where did I get it? From Walmart for months and months and months. Now, I'm showing you those little marks on the back because that's what I'm going to use for my bottom. Now, you see when I pulled that, take the price tag off, how it had the square. Watch what I do. I just take some white Waverly chalk paint. I'm going to wipe it on, dry it really, really good, and then I'm going to take my sanding block and I'm just going to sand it down, and look at there. You can't even tell that once had a blank empty spot. It just all blends in together. Now I'm going to take my half beads that I got from Woodpecker Crafts. Again, they will be linked in the description box below. If I don't link the half beads, which I should, there is always also a link to Woodpecker Crafts in my description box because I use them so much. But I'm just going around the tray and I'm measuring out how many half beads I need. Then I'm going to lay them on my tape. And this makes it easy so that when you're painting your half beads, they don't get away from you and sling and like go everywhere. This was also a tip from a subscriber many, many, many months ago. Could have even been last Christmas time for all I remember. But you guys give me the best tips and tricks, so keep them coming. I love them. I would have never thought to do this, and it saves me so much time and energy now. Again, I'm taking the antique wax and I am just going to paint all over my little half beads. We don't have to worry about wiping them off because we're just using the antique wax as a base. And once we get them all painted on and let them dry completely, then we are going to go over it with some white Waverly chalk paint and distress them. Now, you know what? Let me go back to DIY number 2 because I forgot to tell you why I didn't use polyurethane. If I would have took the wet liquid from the polyurethane and tried to wipe it on my tray, it would have mixed in with that chalk and it would have messed it all up. It would have it would have come up and it would have just been a nasty mess because our chalk paste is made to where you can clean it off and start over. So that's why I didn't use the polyurethane on that one. I just wanted to make sure I told you why I used the triple glaze. Now I'm showing you the different choices that I have here. I could either use these finials from Woodpecker Crafts or the ones from Lowe's. And this little screw here was a little bit too long to use because it would have went through about 1/4 inch on the other side. And I was like, oh man, I really wanted to use these. I guess I'll use the other ones, which are beautiful. And my husband was like, just take that off. And I'm like, I didn't know you could take those off there. Look at him. He's brilliant. I cannot brag about him enough, y'all. I know I've said something about him the past several videos, but come on now. I could not have done half this stuff without him. So he removed my little screws for me. And I just took my wood hot glue and I'm going to glue them down in a little bit. But before I do that, I'm going to take my antique wax and I'm going to give them a really good coat of that wax to bring out the gorgeous wood. And I want you to watch and see. Now, I am not staining the bottom of my little legs here because I want to make sure that they attach to that board as good as possible. But look at how pretty they are. I'm just using a baby wipe. And I'm taking that baby wipe and I'm putting it down in the antique wax. And I'm wiping it right onto my little legs. And you can use these things for anything. You don't have to use them for the legs that they are intended for. Now I'm going to take my little beads off. They have dried and they are ready to go. And I'm going to take them off and I'm just going to glue them all down. And you know what I like to do? I like to take my 4 points, or in this case, 8 points because of the little pieces that are sticking up. And I like to put them right there where they go in the middle. And then I kind of go off of those and do like half there and then half again. And it just makes it so much more even, in my opinion, than just trying to start with one and go all the way around. I always mess myself up when I do it like that. Like nothing's ever centered if I do it that way. But if I take and do it like I just said, where I put, one, the top, the bottom, the sides or whatever, it just works out perfectly every time. Now I'm just taking my little needle nose pliers, picking my half bead up, putting a dot of that wood glue on and putting it back down. And this works so good. They're so tiny and my fingers are so fat. If I try to hold them in my fingers, I'm going to burn myself with that hot glue every time. And it is hot. It's beyond hot. Now I'm going to take my little feet and my wood hot glue and I'm going to glue them right on those little points on the bottom. Now, before I did this, no, it was after I did this. I did put a coat of polyurethane on this tray and the legs. But again, I know you don't want to just sit here and watch me paint clear stuff on what I'm making. So I just want to make sure you know that they did get a coat of polyurethane on them. Now I'm just taking the same handles that I used on the Santa tray. You can use absolutely any handles you want to use for this. Anything would be gorgeous on this. I did leave them black because I thought it was so pretty, the contrast of the white and the black. I thought that was just gorgeous together. But when I took my heat gun right there, what I was doing was just hitting all of the extra little but the glue strings, because if you hit it with your heat gun, they're going to melt and go away and you don't have to worry about them anymore. Now I'm just measuring up where my little handles need to be. I'm going to mark my spot and I'm going to get my drill and I'm going to screw them in, and that is going to be all there was to making this beautiful tray. Now, this is some type of serving tray if you want it to be, or a riser, whatever you want to call it. But it is a good size piece. It's so big. And to me, it's just beautiful. And I'm so tickled at the way this turned out. Look at that. How stinking cute is that, y'all? Is that not crazy? It looks so much bigger when you don't have anything on it, you know. But those half beads to me are exactly what it needed. That way, if you have something on your tray, you don't have to worry about it like sliding off your tray. You know, it just gives it a little bit of a lip. And it makes it more rustic, in my opinion. But I love the tray. This might be my favorite of the whole. I don't know, man. This is a good video, in my opinion. I love it. I definitely want to hear which one's your favorite, but we'll get to that in just a minute when we're doing the final reveal. But let me know what you think about my tray down in the comments. And now here we're going to show you everything together. This was hard to do because all three of these pieces are huge. And my little butcher block table is not that big. I mean, it's big, but it's not big enough to have three significant pieces on top of it. But let's take another look at that coat rack. And that's so stinking beautiful. I love it. I love the ornamental look of those embellishments. It just makes it look so stinking fancy. That's a beautiful welcome sign, very rustic. Again, we're going to take a peek at my table that we just showed you. I love those legs. And they're very inexpensive. You get 2 in a pack for just a few dollars. Again, all this is going to be linked in the description box below. It might take me a minute to do it after the video if I forget I didn't do it. But it will eventually be linked in the description box below. And then we're going to take a look at my little Santa tray again. Oh, I don't think I'm through looking at this riser. I'm so in love with this, y'all. It's so pretty. I love the shape of that wood. Now we're going to go back to Santa's tray one more time. I love it. The little carrots for the reindeer and the milk. Oh, I'm so obsessed. Dear Santa, thank you for visiting our home. Hey, Santa, we left you cookies. Look at how pretty that shimmer paste is. And I love the finish that the triple thick glaze put on my tray. Now, is it food safe? I don't know. Did I eat those cookies off that tray? I sure did. And I finished everything else off that was on that tray too, y'all.
Okay, so I hope you like what you have seen so far. I just wanted to stop and say thank you for sticking with me this far and keep going because there's a lot more to see. So shoot me a big thumbs up, and Lila says hello. Say hi. We are having a blast, so we're going to get back into the video.
DIY number 1, I made this adorable little Santa tray. How cute is that? Let me tell you what I did. I went to Home Depot. I got a 1x6, and I had them cut it down for me. I have a saw at home. I can do it myself, but this was so much easier, and they are so happy to do it. You just take your wood up there, you tell them what size you want, and they will cut it for you. This particular 1x6 gave me 3 Santa trays, and I also had a little bit left over for another scrap wood project. So to make it, what I'm going to use is my wood, of course, a little hand sander that you can get from the Dollar Tree, a paintbrush, my antique wax. I'm going to use some wood hot glue, a hot glue gun that I got from the Dollar Tree, and these cute handles that I got from Home Depot. Now, these are a little bit more pricey than the other ones, but when you see the end result, it's worth it. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my scrap wood, and I'm going to sand down the edges just to make sure that there's nothing, that's going to be like scratchy or sharp. Then I'm going to take my antique wax and I'm going to paint it on. I love using antique wax. I have probably 12 different colors of stain outside and a few cans of the same colors of stain that are my favorites. And I still go to this antique wax. Now, it's a little bit more expensive to use the antique wax, but I just love it. And don't ask me why, I just do. But anyway, once you paint all of your wood with your antique wax, you want to make sure that you go in with a baby wipe or a wet cloth and rub off all of that wet excess and look at the most beautiful wood that it leaves behind. That is why I love it. It's just so easy to use. And, you know, with the stain, you don't have to do that. You don't have to put it on, wipe it off, and all that good stuff, but I just happen to love it. So now I'm going to take my hot glue stick, and I'm going to glue these two pieces of wood together. I have used several different things, but these hot wood glue sticks bind immediately like any other hot glue does, and it gives you the strength of the wood glue. I love it. I highly recommend using it, especially for something like this. So once I get my board all glued together, then I get ready to put my handles on. Now, when you go to put your handles on, it is so much easier on you to go ahead and pre-drill you some pilot holes before you start trying to screw those screws in. Trust me, I've tried it both ways, and it makes your life so much easier if you've got a pilot hole to go from. So I just measure out my space to make sure that I'm getting my little handle right smack in the middle of the board. And once I get everything measured and marked, then I go ahead and drill my pilot hole on both sides, both holes, and then I go back and add the handle. And then the board part itself is done, and now all we have to do is decorate it. Look how cute it turned out, and these handles are just adorable. They are so rustic, and you know I love farmhouse. Now let me tell you about this light pad that I was sent. So my friends over at the Tahito store sent me this light pad to review for you guys, and I love it. It has 5 levels of brightness, and it is bright. You can do 2D animation, you can do calligraphy, you can do sketching and drawing, you can do watercoloring, I could go on and on about the things that you can do, but what I'm going to use it for is to help me weed out my design that I did for our little tray here. So I placed my design on top of my bright pad, get my tongue untied, and I turned it all the way up. I tried it on the lower ones and it worked, but when you get old like me, you can't see very good. So I did turn it up on the brightest level that they had, and I'm telling you, this made my weeding so much easier. Now, because this roll of stencil vinyl comes in a really tight roll, when you let it go, it tends to want to roll up. So what I did is I just grabbed me some masking tape and taped it down where I wouldn't have to keep fighting it to roll up every time I took my hands off of it to put the stuff that I was weeding over to the side, if that even makes sense. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing and understand what I mean. Then I'm going to take my transfer tape that I got from Cricut a while back, and I'm going to transfer my design onto our little tray so that I can stencil it. Anytime I stencil something, I like to go in with some Mod Podge before I go in with my paint and just give it a really good coat of Mod Podge, because what that's going to do is it's going to seal in all of my edges with a clear, or something that dries clear, should I say. And then that way, when I go back over it with my paint, it's only going to pick up what I have stenciled, and it's not going to run and go up under the edges. I hope that makes sense. The first time I heard somebody say that, it just made no sense at all to me. But then when I done it the first time, I was like, oh, okay, I get it. I see what it means. Now, I'm sure you're not as ignorant as I am, and it's not going to take you long to figure out what I'm talking about. But it basically seals in the edges of your stencil. And then when you paint, all you get is your crisp, clear stencil on your surface. Lord, I feel like I just went in 10 circles to tell you one thing. Also, just a reminder, when you go to stencil something, you want to take some sort of foam brush and pounce up and down. You never want to wipe or swipe, because if you do and you missed any edges with your sealant, it's going to go right up under your stencil and you're going to have some bleeds. Those little dauber things that you can get at the Dollar Tree for $1.25, it comes in 3 different sizes. They are perfect for stenciling, and you can use them over and over and over as long as you wash them out every time you use them. And I go in, and just before my paint is completely dry, that's when I'm going to go ahead and start pulling up my stencil. You can wait till it's completely dry, but I have found that sometimes when the paint dries and you go to pull up your stencil, you pull up some of the dry paint with it, and then you kind of mess up your design a little bit. So I like to do it not when it's like super duper wet, but not when it's completely dry yet. Again, I hope that makes sense. But I want you to look at how cute this tray is turning out. I think it is adorable. Now, I bought that design on Creative Fabrica. I will leave the link for that down below. It was just a couple of dollars. So if you like this design, actually the design that I bought came with, I want to say 4 or 5 different sayings for trays for Santa. So you have, if you don't like this one, then there's other ones to choose from. But the reason I chose this one is because if you see down at the bottom right, it says love with a comma, and that's where you put your child or your children's name down there. And that's why I picked this one, because I picked this, I'm making this for a very special little girl, and I wanted her to sign her own name. Now, she is a wonderful little writer, but she felt a little more comfortable in practicing a few times before we got started putting her name on the tray. So I let her practice as much as she wanted to until she felt comfortable. And then once she was comfortable, then she wrote her little name on the tray. And I want you to look how cute it turned out. Lila, you did such a good job, baby girl, and I love it. And she's going to have this for years to come. Now for DIY number 2, I'm going to make these little, I'm going to call them faux presents. That was my main intention, was to make them a faux present. But if you notice, I forgot to put the ribbon that goes from side to side. I did it top to bottom, but I should have done it side to side, and I completely forgot to do that part. However, several people that have seen it still thought, like when I said, what does that look like? They all said presents. So, and when I told my daughter, I said, man, I really messed up. She said, Mama, there's 1,000 ways to wrap a present. It still looks like a present to me. So that is what my whole idea was behind using this wood, was to make faux presents out of them. So what I'm showing you now is the 2 paints that I'm going to mix together to get the color that I want. I'm going to use oh my word, here we go with the tongue tied. Maize by Waverly and White by Waverly, and I'm going to mix them together to make this lighter sort of creamy yellow paint. Now I'm going to distress it way down, but this is the color that I wanted to start with as my base. So I take that beautiful paint and I paint all 3 of my boards in this yellow color. Then I'm going to take some Antique Wax by Waverly, and I am going to wipe it and smear it and smudge it all around the edges with a baby wipe. I am going to do that until I get my desired distressed look. And it did take me a good little while to get it where I really wanted it, but eventually it worked. Now, when I seen the baby wipe wasn't working as fast as I wanted it to work, I went in with a paintbrush and put it on, because I was able to put it on a little heavier with the paintbrush than I was the baby wipe. And that's what allowed me to get this really old, antiqued, distressed look that I was really looking for. Now here I'm just trying to figure out what kind of ribbon I'm going to use, and I eventually went with this dark burlap ribbon. I wish I could tell you where I got this from, but I can't remember, but I really want to say it was the Dollar Tree. Like, I'm about 90% sure it was the Dollar Tree. So I just hot glued on this ribbon when I found the one that I liked, straight up and down around the picture. Now, like I said, my intention was to do it up and down and side to side, and I got in a hurry or got sidetracked, or I don't even know what I was doing at the time, but I only done it up and down. But I like the way it ended up anyway. Then, as you see, I use this real pretty lace burlap lace ribbon on top of the burlap ribbon. And I found the little wrapper for that brown burlap ribbon, and it did come from the Dollar Tree. I thought it did, but I just wanted to make 100% sure before I sent you on a wild goose chase looking for something. So once I got my ribbons on there like I liked it, I found me some greenery and just cut me a few pieces off, and I played with a few other things to see if I wanted to add like red color or anything like that to it, but I just ended up with going with just this real pretty green leaf. Now, once I got my leaf on, I wrapped some twine around it maybe 4 or 5 times and did that to each one of them, and then I made me a little finger bow to go right on top of where that twine is wrapped around it, on top of that leaf. So I made my finger bow, and then I just wanted something else. So what I decided to do after I made my finger bows for each one of my little presents is I found some little tiny beads and made me just like a little 3-beaded hanger, I don't even know what you call it, from the bottom of each one. Now, I went ahead and threaded all 3 of them at the same time, but that's for all 3 of them, 3 separate ones. So once I got my little, I guess I'm going to call it a tassel, I don't know what else to call it, made my beaded tassel, then I cut a little tiny piece, maybe about a 1/2 inch long on the bottom, and I just unraveled that twine to make it a little poofy, if that makes any sense. I did get a little bit out of camera right here. I apologize for that. But that's what it looked like in the end. And I did that to all 3 of them. And this is how it turned out. And I think these are just adorable. So the next thing I did is went in with some Jenga blocks, or the tumbling tower blocks from the Dollar Tree. And I added some to the bottom of each one to help it stand up a little bit better and to give it a little bit of a base, or a little bit more of a base. And this is what they turned out like, and I love them. Even though I didn't go the way I wanted to with the ribbon, I still think they are beautiful. And I think the twine, the way I put the twine around it, sort of gave it that image that I was looking for anyway as a wrapped present. But look how old they look. Now, I know it was a new piece of wood, but I love the way it turned out. I think it does look really old and rustic, and I love it. Now, let's get into my final DIY. It's more faux presents, but these I made with 4x4 post. Now, I got one 4x4 post, and I had them cut down into 3 length sections. I had 12 inches, 9 inches, and 6 inches. For this one, I'm only using 2, and I'm using the 2 that was left over when I got my sets of 3 out of the 1 length that I bought, if that makes sense. These were the 2 pieces that were left over, or there was 1 piece left over, and I had him cut it in these lengths right here. Then I'm going to go in with some Crimson Paint by Waverly, and I'm going to give them both not really a full coat because I want some of that wood shining through, but I am going to give them a heavy coat. Then I'm going to take some of this chalkboard paint, and I'm going to sort of distress all around both of these 4x4s. Now, I wanted to use a dark brown, but I couldn't find one, and it never dawned on me until after I was done that I could have used the antique wax. I think of that as a stain and a wax and not a paint, basically, in my head, and I don't know, but it still turned out pretty. I still like the way it turned out. Then after I did that, I took some white Waverly chalk paint, and I did the same thing. I dry brushed all around all 4 sides of the pole, top and bottom, until I got it distressed pretty much the way I wanted it. After I got that done, I took some of this red polka dotted ribbon that you can get from the Dollar Tree year-round. I see it at mine year-round. It's not seasonal at my stores or in my area, and I can always get it. And then I put it on there like a little present, like you see. And then I flipped it back over and I started adding my toppings. No, I didn't. I took some twine and wrapped around, right around the middle, I want to say. Yeah, it was right around the middle. And I don't know why. Don't ask me why, because it makes it rustic, and I love rustic-y farmhouse stuff. I know it's going out of style, but I am still on that train, and I love it, and I'm going to love it for a while. I'm not getting tired of it anytime soon. So I just added me some greenery to the top, and then I took this tubing that you can get from the Dollar Tree. Yes, I finally learned what it was called, and it made me sort of like this double bow. And once I got that made, I placed it on the top, added me a little apple and some red berries, and that was all there was to making these cute little faux presents. I absolutely adore them, and I cannot wait to hear what you think about them when I read your comments down in the section below. Look how stinking cute these things turned out. Are they not just adorable? Now, if you don't like red, you can go with any color you want. If you like the more browns and the neutral and rustic colors, which I do, that's what I prefer, but I wanted to go outside of my wheelhouse a little bit and do something different, because I know that Christmas is generally reds and greens and golds and things like that, and I wanted to do something a little bit different than what just suits my house and my taste and my decor. So let me know what you think about these down in the comments below. Now let me show you my final reveal. I am so excited about this entire collection. Now, before I go any further, I'm going to say this. I know that my little title is scrap wood, and this isn't necessarily scrap wood where you would go outside and pick up some wood that somebody's thrown down and left over. I did go buy every one of these brand new, but I used them as you could scrap wood that you would find out in your yard, or go to Home Depot and ask them for their scrap leftovers and things like that. So that was the theory behind this whole video. So don't come at me and say, girl, you did not use scrap wood. You bought that wood new. I know that. I'm just trying to give you some ideas of things that you can do with scrap wood. Let me know what you think about this down in the comment section. Like I always say, which is your favorite? Do you like the little Santa board? That is definitely my favorite. However, I love the finish on those little 3-piece faux presents right there, the best. Thank you again for coming to my first mega video. And if you are still here, give me a Santa Claus and a Christmas tree down at the bottom. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for so long and watching my first mega video with me today. I am super duper excited that you would even take your time to spend this much time with me. So anyway, if for some reason you are still here and you've never been to my channel before, my name is Brenda, but my sweet grandbabies call me Monner. I have a video that comes out every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and 9 times out of 10 I have a live video chat during the premiere where I can talk to you. But being out of town and preparing for my heart surgery this Thursday, I was not able to do that this time. So come back next Tuesday and hopefully I'll be there for the live chat and make it through my surgery this Thursday. I'm having a heart surgery, if you don't know that already. But anyway, thank you for your prayers that you've already prayed. I do desire your prayers for this Thursday. I love every single one of you. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to hush now because Lord have mercy, y'all been with me long enough. Merry Christmas, everybody. Bye now.